Hello, empowered woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today, I had the pleasure of talking to Colette STREICHER, a licensed psychotherapist and founder of the MAP Method, a unique coaching program that builds positive brains to help everyone make anything possible in their lives. She shared her story on how she got to where she is today and also how healing is an important part of our decision to be happy no matter what. So good. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal growth, visibility, and profit for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to start believing in yourself, giving yourself permission to succeed, and let your voice be heard to make an impact in the world as an entrepreneur, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi, Colette. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm Marta, so happy to be here.
Yes. So we've connected recently. I was able to learn more about your work and even do one of your sessions. So I'm super excited to have you on the show to share more about what you do and how you can help entrepreneurs up level and grow, evolve to achieve their goals and all that good stuff. So why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, so I come from France. So you hear my accent.
Love it.
So as you know, I'm Colette STREICHER. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and massage therapist. I am the founder of MAP, Make Anything Possible, which is the method you tested out in a session. I'm also the bestseller author of Abundance on Demand, which is the book, like the green book right there. I can share it later on. And what else? Yes, I'm the CEO of a very thriving international company. And here we go. I'm here to have fun with you.
Yes.
Uh,
So I would love for you, before you explain to us what MAP is, which is a phenomenal thing that you've created, how you got into this line of work, especially because of your background, how things came about until you decided this is what I'm creating and this is what I'm going with.
all right. So it's a long story that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to put short.
Yes.
Keep it short. But at 9 years old, I saw my mom extremely depressed, suicidal, to say the truth. And so I decided to be happy, to help others in the future who would like to be happy. And then at 12 years old, I was studying Freud and hypnotizing my friends. And then I went on to the body mind because I was pretty much a lot of physical things going on. So I
Mm-hmm.
studied energy therapies like Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine, and massage therapy. Ended up moving to America in 95, going to the university to become a psychotherapist, to become a cutting edge psychotherapist. Because I discovered that clearing my body and my energy system was not enough. I needed to really go deeper. So I did go deeper
Mm-hmm.
for a decade before I came to America and decided, you know what, that's really what I want to do because my mom thinking about mental health and
Yeah.
how central it is to happiness and to success. So I went to the university, studied that, but at the very same time, I never believed in traditional approach. So I studied all the alternative energy psychology, which is, EFT with Gary Craig and
Mm-hmm.
LP, so many other methods for about 15 years. And
Wow.
I was always looking for the fastest, the most gentlest way to heal with the secret desire and quest to find something so good, so effective, so gentle that my mom could not have said no. And I realized that, years later, what is really motivating me here? And that was it. So I was constantly comparing, is my mom would have said yes to that? No, too complex, too
Mm.
difficult, too painful, not fast enough,
Yeah.
something. So I was still on the lookout. After 15 years, I still didn't feel satisfied and I didn't know where else to look. And actually the breakthrough began when I experienced a loss of money. I don't know if you want to know that story.
Sure. Tell us.
Okay. So I opened my business. I thought I was a pretty good therapist after all those training. And I inherited money from my family. And I began to react completely different. Like there was this subconscious program began to run me. And I didn't know it. Okay, it was subconscious. Okay, so it took me 2.5 years to spend my entire fortune, to give it away, to lose it, to invest it into the worst case scenario. And 2.5 years later, I opened my laptop. I tried to look at this bank account, and I just don't believe what I see. It's like, this is not the right bank account. It was 0.00 and not even $5 in it. It's like, I said, wow, that completely woke me up out of my hypnosis. You know, it's like, what have I done those years? And so I realized, whoa, I don't even know how the subconscious is running my life on autopilot after all those years of studying psychology, and especially on money blocks. Never had a class on money blocks, you know, no money identities, nothing. So I end up doing another year of going around looking for every alternative method that was focusing only on money.
Okay.
And I discovered there were so many, and each one of them had their little sliver of the pie. You know, one was doing only the womb, you know, what happened in the womb. The other one was dealing with ancestral history and conflict in the family. Other ones were doing the chakra system. And so I'm thinking, wow, we need an integrative therapy here, because I can't send my clients to 11 different therapists to really make sure that a complex identity structure like the money blocks end up to be an identity structure made up of so many negative memories if they are blocking you, and negative beliefs about yourself. And so I was looking for something better, and then something happened. You know, when you ask, it is given.
Yes.
Yes. Well, it was given in a weird way. I had VIP clients, and one of them came from France. And I thought she had depression, anxiety, and phobia. At the time, I couldn't handle that. However, at the airport, I realized she was on a high side of a bipolar disorder, completely manic. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what do I have on my hands? I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't do psychiatry. So I have to look quick, you know, before I send her to France, try to give her a little bit of a tip or something, look into psychiatry. And that's when I found the work of Dr. Flint, who was from Canada. And he had a genius idea. After all those 15 years, I never heard of that thought. Treating or training the subconscious mind to heal the subconscious mind. It's like having a healer in your own mind. That was a genius idea. So I contacted him, and then he mentored me and my son. However, we have great results, but however, there was still the thought in me. Remember, subconscious is much wider as a definition. It includes the chakra system, the things that even different timelines and family history and all that the traditional subconscious does not include. So I felt restricted by this concept. I said, wow, what's going on here? And I got this very strong message for about 3 weeks. Couldn't stop thinking about it. Use the superconscious mind. And the superconscious mind is that part of us that's connected to infinite intelligence, that really knows everything, that knows what happens in your chakra, what happens 7th generation on your father's side, what happened in your DNA, knows everything. And teaching that part of us to go deep dive into the subconscious programs, find them, neutralize them on command, literally, by giving instruction, and within minutes being able to see progress going on. And that's where it's pretty much unbelievable. And that's where you come in and I say, well, why don't you get an experience of
I love that so much. And I love the stories that you shared. You asked permission to share it. And I'm like, I'm all for it, because as entrepreneurs, usually the things that we develop and the things that we're so passionate about teaching have everything to do with our own personal journey and our quest for solving a problem or helping ourselves figure something out that was always a struggle. And then we finally find a path or a system and we just want to shout it from the rooftops. And it seems to me that's exactly what's happened to you, starting at such a young age and always having in the back of your mind your mom and how you could have helped her, or how she could have been helped had this had been developed back in the day. And I got to tell you, so when you were explaining a little bit of it, I wanted you to get into the iceberg, because I remember when we did our session, you had me watch that video. I would love for you to give us a little bit of an explanation. And something else that I want to touch on after you explain a little bit more about that is that when we did have our session, and I didn't mention it at the time because it was kind of crazy, the kids were around and we were pressed for time, but I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, and a lot of what I went through when we were doing the session took me back to the things that I learned and to this idea of my superconscious mind is attached to my spiritual beliefs. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that as well, but tell us about the iceberg.
All right. So a MAP session begins with a training of the brain. Of course, the superconscious mind needs to be trained. So there is a video that you saw, and it includes the explanation of the iceberg. The iceberg is the conscious mind, which is the tip of the iceberg, the subconscious mind, which is the big part of the iceberg, and the superconscious is outside. It's like a sun, if you want, outside. It's your higher self. We can talk about that. But so it's important to know that there is only a small part of us that knows what we're doing, that is conscious, really. And that was the shock I had to see how powerful the subconscious programs are. And I realized that there are 75,000 decisions that we make a day. 75,000 decisions. They are all prepared in your unconscious mind. It would take you so much more time and energy to consciously think every little decisions you make every day. So we are literally, I discovered that, and I realized, shocked, that we were run by our unconscious programs. Slash subconscious, we can use the same word. So there are also what happens when you are traumatized. I don't know if you want to hear about that.
Sure. Yes. Please walk us through.
So what happened is that in life, we have events. As a child, we have different events that happened. And the brain looks for the program. Is there a program here that will help me react? And a trauma is actually an event that you have never experienced before. You're completely shocked and you have no answer. And you have to quickly create a part of you to handle this, to make new decisions, to take control over the situation one way or another, to survive, actually. So this is what's happening with the main personality that you have during a traumatic event. It's not all the time, but sometimes it splits into little parts that are taking over. Like, you have ever heard of the mother, the kid is under the car and she suddenly can lift the car, take the kid out. That's not her main personality. It's a part that was instantaneously created to handle the situation. Now, those parts, they end up becoming asleep, going dormant. However, they are triggered by life. Every time there's something similar that happens, they end up waking up, pushing the main personality apart, and you have a reaction to life that is not proportional to what's going on at that very moment. Like a big noise, for example. Someone who had been traumatized by the war would be under the table because I just clapped my hand, Well, that's what parts are. But we're going a little bit deep here.
No. And I think that is great, because that brings so much awareness into when we encounter different situations, we revive these parts of us, and it's almost like it's a different person. And I love that you brought in the example of a mom, because I think me becoming a mom has stripped myself in so many ways. It's helped me see myself for who I am in many ways, because it's revived things, or it has shown me parts of me that I had never known were even in there. But because I'm encountering different situations, I'd never been a mom, I'd never been a mom of triplets before at that, it just exposed these things for me. And it's like, whoa, 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 I need some time to process. And I'm always talking about this on the show and publicly, that 5 years into motherhood of triplets, I'm still unpacking a lot of the things that I went through in the first 6 months, or even in the first year, because it was a lot in such a short period of time. There was no way I could have really processed or understood what I went through. But now these things are manifesting in other areas of my life, and I'm able to, in some way, connect back to, this is what I was feeling in that moment. This is why I reacted this way, but I couldn't have known because it was just too much to process. So this was totally on point. I love all of this. And it really is a testament to how important it is for us to work with our subconscious mind, or to be aware of these things and dig into, so that we're not just pretending or thinking that we're operating with the tip of the iceberg, because it's not true.
It's not true. And, it cost me a fortune to say the truth,
Yeah.
To realize that.
Totally.
So how do you do that? Perhaps that's the question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only hard to find out what's in the subconscious, sometimes it's totally impossible to remember because it's before you were 4 years old,
Yeah.
for example, or in the womb. You can't remember any
Yeah.
of that. And also, sometimes it's too painful, so you have parts that are trying to protect you from feeling the pain and re-traumatizing yourself.
Yeah.
So there are aspects of your subconscious that you have no access to. Unless, and that's where this genius, idea of Dr. Flint, and then that we upgraded to the superconscious mind, unless we use the superconscious mind. And like we had to do with MAP, we had to create a map of the subconscious. We had to create different commands and instructions to really leverage the power of the superconscious mind, so that we could address the subconscious patterns and beliefs and emotions and memories from all those powerful angles I was telling you about. So after 2 years of research, etc., putting the protocol together, we have created a map. And so MAP allows you to, as a coach or as a therapist or healer, to communicate with the superconscious mind of the client using muscle checking. I don't know if some people know that, but a way to communicate and to get answers and to get guidance through the protocol, so that we know what to do next and how to unravel a memory structure from the ideal order. Because it's like a memory structure, it's like a building. You need to eliminate in layers if it's a complex structure. Of course, there are very simple ones that can be dissolved very easily. It's all a question of, differences that happens in the mind.
Right.
Mind is both complex and super simple. So that's what we can do with MAP, is simply communicate with the subconscious, tell it to go deep dive and find those things and neutralize them. And within minutes, the person who is experiencing is beginning to notice the shift. Like when you focus on an event, for example, that happened to you, we can, just to sidetrack a little bit, we can choose a conscious event. Because you know what happened in the past that is in your subconscious is popping up in your life constantly. And a small event is actually like an ant hill. You go inside and you find an ant farm, and it's all interconnected. So the benefit of using the superconscious mind is we can use an entrance door like a conscious memory, and go deep dive into the ant farm and in underground find all those memories that were all attached, creating this complex memory structure and dissolving it all in one time without having to have the pain to either remember or talk about it or share anything. So perhaps it's a good time for you to share how did you experience the map session?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I wanted you to kind of walk us through the structure of the session. And also I wanted to talk a little bit about the spiritual side of things. And I just, whenever people talk, I have all these different ideas in my head, because you mentioned this is an amazing tool for coaches, for healers. So it is something that people can be certified in, not just have the sessions with you or with a practitioner. They can also incorporate this method in their business, right?
Absolutely, yes. We have a certification program
Mm-hmm.
in the MAP Coaching Institute.
Amazing. And we're going to share all the links and all the things towards the end and in the show notes afterwards. But I loved how you were guiding me through the session into those memories and into those spaces in my brain. And what really struck with me specifically, and like I said, because of my background and because of my beliefs, it was that this super conscious mind, it is as much a part of me as it is a part of the whole world. So being interconnected, which in my experience and in my past is what the Holy Spirit would be. It's living within me, but it's me, but it's not me, because it's a separate entity inside of me that knows all things, that knew me before I was born and in the womb and in those first few years when I couldn't have remembered. So that entity is able to retrain my subconscious mind if I am willing to go there and give him the space to do that. And I remember at one point in the session, you asked me to invite somebody to come with me in a specific moment. And you can tell me more about that, because I don't remember all the details. I'm sure that's part of the process. Invite somebody, and you could choose whoever it was. And immediately the sensation that I had was Jesus being with me and reaffirming and reassuring me of things that I have already known, but that I had forgotten, or that I had chosen to bury because of life's troubles and situations. And it was really reminding me of all of those things, that, I have what it takes, that I am not alone. That was a sense that I got a lot, was that I am not alone, and that there is always that one person with me that can protect me, that can guide me, and that can help me, because this person is all knowing. And in that sense, God as a Trinity, according to, what I believe and what I've grown up with. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and also the breakdown of a session.
Yes. And what is good is it's not lined up with any other thing, that knowing that we are more than the conscious mind and the programs. We are more, and we are connected. And depending on your spiritual background, or if you don't have a spiritual background, but it's still a consciousness. There is a higher consciousness.
Yes.
There's a part of us that's beyond the programs that we are running. We would be just robots if we were just running programs. There's a part of us that is conscious, that is aware, that is loving, that is all-knowing, and that is connected to the infinite love of this universe. So yes, absolutely. And everyone can find their own words. You can replace the word superconscious if that doesn't fit. It's a concept that is very, very helpful for the sessions as a guide.
I love that. So within the session, what are some of the steps in terms of talking to your subconscious mind? If you could just walk through that quickly.
So the first session, and you went through it, you pick an event that is bothering you, and you assess from 0 to 10, how much angst or stress. I don't remember, your level was perhaps 8 out of 10 or something.
Yeah, something along the 7 or something.
Yeah, pretty high. So after that, so before that, there is a training for the brain. It's a video, etc. This happens before the session.
Yes.
So that all parts of you are trained. Then we pick an event that is conscious, at least the first time around. This is how we train the brain. It's kind of a first training. And then so we pick an event, you assess the level, and then I have my protocol. So I'm following the protocol, finding out what is the next command that is going to be useful to unravel and neutralize that memory structure. So it can be a lot of different things. We can begin with beliefs, emotions, We can go as deep as finding the original event that resonates with the one we're treating here.
Mm-hmm.
And every single other event on that timeline, we can go chakra system, like I said, energy. So it depends. I have a protocol, but it changes every time with each person, depending on the need of that specific issue. And then at the end, I personally, I mean, it's part of the protocol, but again, it's not always automatic. I like to finish with using the magic wand, where I ask, that's where I ask you to, because once you are down to a very low level of intensity, you have already rewired your brain. Now, the brain doesn't know actually anything. You can, at that moment, begin to use your imagination and create a better memory, a memory that you would prefer, where you can invite someone that is supporting you, or say something differently, or do something differently. And we are literally creating kind of a new way for the brain to think about that event. And the brain likes to upgrade to something that feels better.
Yes.
And then it anchors and ends the session, more or less. So this is part 2 of a MAP method. The MAP method itself, I do want you to share with people. MAP means make anything possible. It's really to make your dreams possible. And in order to make your dreams possible, you have to become this new person. Can't stay the same person and suddenly be successful. You have to become a successful person. And so there are 3 steps of the MAP method. And step 2 is about clearing, but step 1 is about defining. So you didn't have the whole picture. You had to do the clearing, which is extraordinary using the conscious mind. But there are still 3 steps that we do so that you end up creating and reinforcing in step 3 who you truly desire to be, and build a new identity, a new self, a new you.
I love that so much. And definitely a lot more that we wouldn't be able to cover here on the show. So people are going to have to connect with you and learn more. But before you tell us how to find you and how to learn a little bit more about the method, I would love to do my little rapid fire questions and see what you come up with. It's always fun to hear what people come up with, because as you know, the brain is incredible. So it's nice to hear. So I will give you some phrases, which are part of my framework, and we'll see what you come up with. So the first thing is notice yourself.
Notice myself? Yes.
What comes to mind when you hear that?
Awareness.
Listen to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Forgive yourself.
Love yourself.
Empower yourself.
Be your true self.
And last but not least, transform yourself.
Reach your full potential.
Yes, which is what you're helping people do with your amazing method. Thank you so much, Colette. Tell us more how to connect with you, any resources that you may have, and I'll make sure and put all the links in the show notes as well.
All right. The easiest is to go to the MAP Coaching and